got your question clearly, but this is what I want to say in response to that question, if I got it clearly. Now, 12 million registered customers are not the ones consuming electricity. I mean, that fact is clear. We cannot run away from that fact. You have more people consuming electricity than the 12 million registered customer.
Exactly my point.
Go to any disco, they will tell you that there are free riders. They will tell you that there are free riders, and they are doing, I hope and believe that they are doing everything on a daily basis to bring in the free riders so that they can recover more. But guess what? The more people they bring in, the more the subsidy level will increase. Because the more people you bring in, more people will be consuming power. There's no doubt about that. Or put in another form, more people are consuming power now, but less people are paying. So that means the subsidy is still going northwards. It's still on the rise. So when you solve metering problem, hopefully in the shortest possible time, and we are able to reduce subsidy substantially. Because in the first instance, let's even ask ourselves this question. Who is benefiting from this subsidy? Is it the poor or the rich? Is it the poor that is benefiting from this subsidy or the rich?
The idea of the multi-year tariff order of 2022 is such that discos that are in, highly urban centers are allowed to charge tariffs near cost-reflective, tariffs. And then discos that are in areas with low-income consumers are allowed to charge lower allowed tariff. That, in a way, ensures that they get more of the subsidy. Are you saying that is not the situation as we speak?
No. I'm not saying that is not the situation. But over a period, since that 2022, there has been a movement more in the direction of discos in the urban areas the subsidy favoring them. And that means it is those who are well-to-do that are benefiting from the subsidy. That's just the logic of that position that you have raised. And it is very, very clear. They consume more of the energy. For instance, I think the last calculation by the regulator, and we must commend the regulator for getting to that extent. The last calculation by the regulator was that if you charge the true cost, electricity is likely to be about at least 100 naira per unit. But what you are charging currently is about 50% lower than that 100 naira, slightly above 100 naira per unit. So there is a huge gap that the rich is benefiting from. Meanwhile, even the poor themselves, they are not getting the supply. Now, the second argument is this. Even the poor that we are trying to defend, they are also saying, give us the electricity. We will buy the one that we can buy and use it. They still use I better pass my neighbor. And I know that as an experienced journalist, you are familiar with the trend in their better pass my neighbor space. People still use it to run their barbing salon, to run their hair making salon, to run their vulcanizing business. They still use that I better pass my neighbor. They buy fuel of about 3,000 naira that does not last more than about 6 hours in a day. You cannot put your refrigerator on it. You cannot put your pressing iron on it. You cannot put your electric cooker on it. All of those ones are resting when you are using that I better pass my neighbor. But we are saying, and if you calculate I better pass my neighbor, it's likely to be about 200 naira per unit of electricity. We are saying, okay, move it a little bit further than where the tariff is now, so that you can recover more and be able to provide electricity for everybody. Is that too much of an argument is that too much of a request to make? For this market to survive? For this market to survive, is that too much of a request to make? I think we need to sit back and bite the bullet. For once, let's bite the bullet. Inflation is running very high.
Let us also try to probe, the subsidy regime as it is currently constituted. Some have raised the issue of the delay and bottlenecks, associated with paying the electricity subsidy, the slow cycle that you mentioned earlier. Do these discos get the refunds as at when due? You talked about the development earlier. We heard from Genco's warning that they may not be able to sustain current electricity supply levels, following the payment of only 28% of an invoice for power supplied to the national grid by the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC in the September payment cycle. Do you think there's a sense in which if we get the monies to them early enough, it will resolve the issue of liquidity in the interim while we resolve and systematically remove subsidies, so to speak?
Now, again, you have raised a very crucial point, and I must thank you because it tells me that you have done a bit of research concerning this matter. Now, one fundamental problem about the issue of subsidy is that, okay, government has said, I will pay the differential between the true cost and the allowable cost. But even at that, because of the paucity of funds available to government, government is not able to pay as at when due. So, and look, we cannot blame government for everything. If government had the power, I'm sure that government would have said, let's do everything. In the days of the likes of the former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, God bless him for this country. They came out, although it had its own economic problem, but they came out, they started unity schools. Federal government really does not have any business with unity schools. I'm sorry we are digressing, but I'm just trying to bring out a point. The government came out and said, Udoji Award. That also had its own problem, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is that when government had the energy, the financial muscle to do all of those things, government went ahead to do it. Now that government does not have the energy to do it, it is not only making a promise, it is making a promise that it cannot fulfill, and when it is able to fulfill it, it's not fulfilling it at the right time, because there's supposed to be a right time when the subsidy is supposed to be paid to the market, so that they can, I mean, look at what happened in Damaturu recently in Northeast, where some vandals pulled down transmission tower there. The people in that place need electricity. If there is no money to do it, it means that they will go and borrow. At what cost? There is a cost attached to funds. So all of these things are very, very crucial to the survival of the market. And one of the principal things is the economics of power supply, the fund to drive the system. Investors want to come in, but when they look at the numbers, they look at the return on investment, it is better for capital to go to a different place. Capital or money can only gravitate towards the place where there is value. If there is no value for money, if there is no value for capital, capital will move away. And that's exactly what we are experiencing in this country today.
Very interesting development, and government hasn't shied away from the fact that this subsidy has to be removed, but it's saying it has to be done systematically with the public well-informed and sensitized in this regard. Now, when we return after this break, we'll turn our attention to how you think this government can do this, with the prevailing economic circumstances and situation in the country. We also open the phone lines for contributions from our viewers. Stay with us, everyone. Don't go away.